Thank you. Hey, guys.
Hey, Matt, with Will Anderson's play, just to kind of what he's done all season, what are you seeing from Will and kind of plays he makes?
Yeah, same approach he's taken since kind of we've known him. Practices the way he plays, relentless, attention to detail. Obviously made a big play for us in the game. And really cool, like actually had a rep earlier in the game where somewhat similar, and he was a little bit kind of thick on the play, and we kind of got him corrected on the sideline and just sort of showed it to him, and then when he saw it, then that was kind of came later where he's still a little bit on the edge to get that sack strip. So really cool, just even in game for him to like take some coaching and make adjustments to how he's rushing and stuff. So it's been awesome for us all year.
Everybody seems to know that Christian McCaffrey's going to touch the ball, but
Sure.
he still seems to have success.
Yeah.
When you look at him on film, why is it?
Yeah, I mean, he's leading the NFL in touches like by a long shot. You know what I mean? I think he's got the most carries in the league and the third most receptions, period. Not just for running backs. So, they just do a really good job of creating space for him. I mean, obviously in the run game, you can hand the ball off to him as much as you want, and that's just part of what you do. But in the pass game, they do a really good job of structuring space for him to get him into pockets and into windows and the matchups they like. So just having awareness of how they're trying to utilize him in the pass game particularly is going to be a huge challenge for us. And then obviously when he does get the ball in his hands, dynamic player, has everything, can cut back and can get to the edge speed, make you miss. So be fun challenge for us for sure.
This week, D'Amico said the game plan against Jackson Smith and Jigba was to get physical with him and get the hands on him. Would that have been easier to accomplish if Derek Stingley had played him closer to the line of scrimmage?
When we put a plan in terms of how we want to approach certain things, I mean, sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. There's different techniques that we deploy, sort of call to call and things like that. So I think that's just collectively, like, as we are approaching a player like that, and again this week a player like CMC and how we're having to handle those things, then yeah, like the attention to detail of how we're playing techniques and what we're asking everyone to do. It's not just one player. We gotta deploy those. We didn't do enough. We made some big plays last week, but we didn't do enough in some of the other areas to win that game.
Go ahead.
Man, how do you balance the aggressive nature of your defense, which is, has been very effective, with kind of avoiding some of the penalties? Yeah,
I mean, I think just listen, the state of the league, and we know how the league is calling certain plays, and we have to have awareness of some of those situations, and we've talked about this. We don't want to take our aggression away, and we play fast and we play physical and we play hard, and we try to coach that within the rules of the game, and just understanding, the league is evolving to how they're calling certain things and how they're protecting certain players, and not just quarterbacks. A lot of different situations and players, and as we try to just educate our guys and coach through that, like it's not about taking aggression away. It's about like being smart in the moments of when you get to a certain, I would say, situation within the play, like whether it's near a sideline or on a quarterback that's scrambling or whatever those things are. Like we just have to have awareness of how those things are going to be called and be extra sensitive to how they're being handled.
Specifically when they're getting the ball to McCaffrey in space, how much truly is it almost everybody on your defense being aware and running and making that happen?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, he's a great player, and asking guys to do one-on-one tackles on him in space, like that's hard to do, and people are going to miss. Like we're probably going to miss some tackles. I would like to say we're not going to miss any tackles this week, but they're going to make some plays too. So our swarm mentality and our guys tracking and running inside out, and not just assuming he's getting down. If he's catching the ball in space, and some of those plays are behind the line of scrimmage or screen game or whatever it is, then we got to go hunt, and we got to get guys to the ball and get hats there, because the more people you have the ball, the more likely you're going to get them down.
D'Amico had it was his first game back, and he made an impact. D'Amico Autry.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was his first game back, and he made an impact. What do you think about how he was able to?
Yeah, honestly, he made a huge impact for us. Obviously, a couple big plays with the field goal, and then had the sack towards the end of the game, and had a couple tackles. I don't even know. I think snap count was in the teens or something, and was able to be pretty productive. He's a good player. I think he is I think I said this last year, he's a unique rusher from just his style and his, as a matchup as an inside rusher particularly. Like, he's just a unique player. Like, there's not a lot of guys that rush like him in there. I've said this, he rushes like an end inside, and he's big and powerful enough to do that. So, the more hopefully we can keep him going and get him up to speed, like we like some of the matchups that he provides for us for sure. But did a great job for us.
Back to the 49ers run game, looks like they've been doing some different stuff with a lot more gap scheme kind of over the past 2 weeks. Is it fair to say that this isn't like the prototypical Shanahan rushing scheme that we've seen?
I just think they're probably adapting to some of the things. Everyone's trying to take some of those things away from them. I don't say everyone, but they're still, I believe, they still have the highest percentage of outside zone runs. I mean, that's what, again, the genesis of what they do. But yeah, I do think they've adapted some stylistically. The Atlanta game, particularly, they were playing some 5 down fronts, and they were trying to get more gap schemes and kind of get them around the edges on some of those things. So I think Coach Shannon is excellent, and Coach Firster is one of the best O-line coaches in the league, and they do a really good job of just now, once they see how teams are trying to take things away from them, they have answers. And so we'll have to have some different pitches for all those runs for sure.
When it comes to a guy like Will Anderson was telling us yesterday how it's going to be exciting to go up against his college teammate Mac Jones,
Yeah.
knowing that these guys have grown up in the NFL already these last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's not the same way that they were when they were in college together. Are there any tendencies or things you can take from Will?
You'd have to. I don't think so. I mean, you'd have to ask Will that. I haven't asked him if he has any secrets we can exploit from Mac. But Mac's playing at a really high level and operating really well. So if Will does have any tips, I'll be sure to find him, because we need all the help we can get. But no, I haven't asked him that.
One of the emphasis coming into this season was you all say that you wanted to take the ball away from the offense more. And I think over like the last two or three games, you all have done that. What has been the emphasis on that to have the takeaways like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of our identity, I think, and just in general. I mean, you can go across the league and generally takeaways lead to wins, and turnover margins are a pretty high indicator of wins, and so I don't think we've necessarily emphasized it even more than we had before. I think there's just we've kind of capitalized on those opportunities, and we've dropped some picks, and we've missed some punch outs and missed some recoveries and things like that in some of the earlier games. So I think that's always on our mind, and again, we're just as a belief system of we talk about a lot, and we practice and preach it a lot, because we believe that is a pretty big contributor to victories and keeping points down and those things. So we've been fortunate that we've capitalized on those opportunities the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we can keep doing that.
Two crucial plays that stood out in that Seahawks game. The defensive side of the ball was the penalty on Aziz with the hit on Sam Darnold, and then at the end of the game with Tim Settle Jr. Aziz told us after the game that it wasn't that he lost where he was on the field. There was no whistle blown. So you all coached them to go to the whistle. Tim Settle said the same thing. You all teach them to go to the echo of the whistle. When there's no whistle blown, how are they supposed to determine?
Yeah, that's probably a question for somebody else, to be honest with you. Again, we just try to coach how we know the rules, and I think it's a fine line. Again, it's a fine line, and again, I think just we as a team in general have to understand quarterbacks in particular are going to be officiated differently. That's fine. We want ours officiated differently as well. So, I think that's just some of the awareness factor. And, Tim's was a tough, as we also preach, man, we wanted to finish with a chance, whatever that chance was, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, let's finish with the ball in our hands and see what we got. So, it's hard. Earlier in the game, we had the goal line play that they kind of let play, and we gave up a touchdown, the first touchdown we gave up. And so I think that is a fine line. That's probably a question for somebody else. So again, we try to coach that, hey, when the whistle blows, obviously the play's dead, and we got to let up. And they've officiated in terms of not slamming people down and doing the sort of lift and dump tackles kind of post whistle or towards the end. So I think those things we have to have awareness of. But we just got to keep coaching the way we think we're going to get officiated. Sure.
George Kittle, he didn't have a catch last.
Sure.
He had a huge boost in
Sure.
their blocking, opened some things up offensively. Just what makes him a difference maker when he doesn't even have the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know how to word this. I don't want to say a dying breed, but I feel like there's been sort of a division of tight end skill sets in terms of you have your pass catching tight end and your wide tight end, and he's one of the, I'll say the few, but he's one of the better ones that can do both. So he is a pass threat. Obviously, he's had a huge career doing that, but he's one of the better point of attack blockers and plays physical, and they utilize him that way. And again, now with him kind of coming back and how they use Jusek, like with the 21 personnel package and stuff. So now you have two guys that are kind of playing that game. So, like I think just, because he's on the field, you're concerned to some level of his pass catching ability and what he does in the pass game. But now he's obviously like a really good point of attack blocker too. So I would say one of the better, unique, like sort of two-way threats at the tight end position in the game today.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Let's just say what it is, man. John Week's coming back to town, and it's an honor. I got to start the speech here by saying it's an honor, a privilege to coach somebody that I learned from more than probably any player I ever will learn from. So proud and happy for the success that John has had individually in his position and for the Texans and now for the Niners. So that's the unique and fun part about the NFL. And, it's also kind of like everyone's saying, oh, what about for weeks? Hey, man, this is the NFL. Every day you line up, you got to play football. Every week provides new challenges. So, but to him specifically, just a giant thank you to everything he's contributed to me personally in learning as a coach. So thankful to him. For the Niners, it's got to find a way to finish a little bit better than we have been in some of these moments where there's some leaky yards that we have left out there. There's still meat on that bone for the return game, for the coverage game. Some things we knot up really nicely. Missed tackle here and there. We got to be more sharp. The Niners provide some unique challenges with Sky Moore, guy who was in Kansas City before this, fast, dynamic returner. Gifford, who's really the guy's a tackling machine with his length. His tackling radius is incredible. Got to find a way to neutralize those types of players. And then you look on the perimeter, no familiar foe to unfamiliar, not an unfamiliar foe to us in Saron Neal. Buffalo, Miami, the guy's a absolute terror in coverage. So for us, we got to find ways to neutralize him, number 33, for San Francisco, to make sure that Sunday can be successful for the special teams.
With Taimi yesterday about the late game kickoff. What was the plan? Obviously, you hoped for not burning the 2-minute warning, but just kind of what went on. What did you see from an?
Yeah, it's happened in the NFL a couple of times this season. Being able to kick the ball as a touchback all the way through the uprights, let's say, or kick the ball out of bounds, and we've executed that kick successfully before at Green Bay, if you remember. So just got to make sure we hit the thing as we should. We tee the ball on the left half, hit it is exactly as we should. Live, learn, move on, and make sure we get corrected. We've missed field goals before. The next kick, you go out there and you kick it successfully again. So nobody's more dedicated than number 15, and excited to see when our opportunity comes again in a unique situation, us execute.
Was that an example of maybe the aggression in that situation backfiring Kaimi mentioned he felt like he was a little too aggressive with the kick. Maybe just make it a little simpler, get it out of bounds, get it at the 40. And
yeah, I think simpler is a tricky word when you're talking anything. I mean, I've used this reference. I think you were talking about the kickoffs, and I've mentioned, hey, let's island green a par 3 golf, and it's not always as simple on certain things, and to the degree of the word aggression, what we're trying to semantics on that is that's just wording. I think we're trying to place the ball where we want to, and whenever we get the opportunity again, we'll execute on it.
Just to clarify, any kick out of bounds would have not run the clock and would have put the ball
That's
at
correct.
the 40-yard line, correct?
That's correct. The 35-yard line is the setup zone for the kick return team. The 40-yard line is the kickoff zone for the kickoff team. I don't know if you can't just bunt the ball, right? Because they get the ball if it's short of the setup zone there. So you can't just kick the ball off the tee 2 yards. They would get the ball right there. Right. So as an example, that's a different style of penalty. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you arrive at the decision to go with Berrios at punt return instead of Knoll?
I don't think there's a decision to go with anybody. I think every year you guys have asked me, hey, how do you feel about returners in training camp when the roster's at 90? We mix and match every returner that we have. Tremon, Damian, Jalen, Braxton, Christian Kirk, all those guys have taken reps for us. It doesn't matter of which game or what timing or who's available. I mean, Jalen was our starting kick returner last week, so he had 6 or 7 blocking reps on kick return because they kicked opposite. So it's just about play for play, however that shakes out. Were you going to say something? Okay.
No,
okay.
You mentioned learning a lot from John Weeks. Would you mind offering some of the things that you learned from him?
Yeah, well, you can't pay for experience. You either have it or you don't, and I think that he has largely acquired that over 15-plus seasons. And so the nuances of the snapping position, I never have snapped the football. So being able to weekly talk about the opponent's snappers, hey, how do we want to attack that? Being able to talk about literally mechanics, the small things that we would never talk about, like the refs have warned, hey, you can't push or pull that ball on a field goal snap. That's like a tiny little thing that we talk about weekly with the referees that nobody ever even knows. John was clearly a master at that. Not only that, but how about the 4-quarter discussion that happens with the referees about their field goal block unit and alignments and taking care of our guards on our field goal unit. So those things, you have to play the position at a high level for a long time to experience and absorb that, and been able to impart that wisdom onto me as his coach at that time, and then play good football during it. So again, thankful to him, excited to see him.
Do you have a memory that stands out to you about Weeks during your time?
Yeah, a personal one, but I'll keep it private. But just going, we're the same age, or he's a year older than I, and raising our children that are roughly the same age, and putting somebody in a barber chair, cutting his hair, and talking about a family situation before a football game, and this is a long season. We interact as coaches and players and media, and we have a 17-week discussion, and we have a Monday through Friday times 17-week interaction, and then meetings, post meetings with our players, and for all of that, that's a relationship. So it doesn't matter the topic of discussion. We're both grown men with families and priorities, and forever grateful for his friendship. So, but you guys know, at the end of the day, when for 60 minutes, we have to win a football game, and that's how we attack every single week. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. So.
Last one, Coach, you talked about being able to use anybody as far as returns is concerned, but when you have a player like Christian Kirk go down, and then it looks like maybe Nico may not be available this week, does that limit the amount of players you can use back there from the receiving group?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be with any position. Every time, I don't want to use the word load management, but you have to divvy up where it is. If we've had Xavier Hutchinson has been a core 4 player for us on all coverage phases, gunner, kick return blocker, punt return, use on any player. MJ Stewart's not playing a ton of special teams for us right now, so he's been a core 4. That's going to happen with anybody, and each week, that's the job of the special teams coaches, to move players around and find a way to be successful on that day. So that's going to continue to try to do at a high level. But I know this. One thing about this system is Man, it's a 70-man working group every single day from training camp on. So we're working everybody, whoever may show up. Your number gets called. Go make a play for the Texans. Excited to see who does that for us this weekend. All right, guys. Thanks.
The end of the game with Fairbairn, he was told to do something, it didn't execute it. Before that, not too long before that, y'all ran a run play, and 50 seconds went off the clock in between that. What is the process that leads to 50 seconds going off the clock in that situation where you need 2 scores with 3 minutes left?
Yeah, I mean, I think each situation is different. What we're trying to do is establish communication, from top down when we communicate what we're trying to get done relative to the situation, and obviously trying to get our plays in accordance with what we're trying to do, whatever that situation entails. And that, for us, there was no different situation from my standpoint other than to get the plays in and try to give what we thought would give us the best opportunity to score.
Is there any communication? Because if they do you tell him, hey, we got to get back to the line if we don't get in? Because obviously if you're running, if you don't get at the clock. Is that communicated before?
We're trying to have, and that was a focal, and we talked last week when we spoke, that was a focal point of just getting in and out of the huddle with urgency in general terms. It's a hard place to play with the crowd noise and stuff. So absolutely, there's not one part of us that didn't want to be urgent getting back to the huddle.
So that was communicated before?
Yeah, we're trying to get, the entire time we're trying to get to the huddle on time. Yeah, absolutely, and trying to get the play in accordance, and didn't feel like we had any issues in terms of fighting the clock per se in terms of getting the plays in.
I think there's a sequence where there's all three of your interior guys blocking the nose tackle, and there's a free blitzer. This is the one where could have been a touchdown, but the guy fumbles it out of the end zone. What, in terms of execution, are they taught in terms of trying to find the mic and make sure that he's accounted for?
Yeah, certainly that's not how you want to draw it up, right? I mean, that's not what we're trying to do. It was poor execution, not tied together, and there was too much of that. And I take accountability, and starting with me, we've got to be cleaner and across the board. It wasn't just one play. There were a multitude of plays, and it wasn't good enough. It was disappointing. And we gotta continue to refine and eliminate those things and to give us a chance to have the best chance to win. And it was across the board. It was the run game. It was protections. It was too many of those things that came up too frequently.
You walk us through what exactly is going on at left guard with the rotation between Lake and Tomlinson.
Sure. Yeah, both of those guys have at different times given us quality reps, and I think the balance between those two, there's been good moments. And is it all perfect? No, but it's not. It hasn't been perfect at every position either. There's Lakin's a very instinctive, savvy veteran player that's played a lot of football. He's very tough. Juice has really done a good job and continued to improve from the time we had him here, even training camp when the pads came on. And there's been moments. Is it perfect? No. But the complement of both of those guys pushing each other has made them show improvement and feel like the competition's been healthy, and we'll continue. If they earn opportunities, we'll continue to get those guys opportunities, and that goes for every position. It just so happens to be at the left guard position.
You all said during training camp that you were going to give CJ more control of the offense coming into the season. He's going to be able to do more things, but on Wednesday, one of those days, Wednesday, Coach said that this game is about executing, running the plays that's called, doing what practice, doing what you told, not doing what you told you, but running the plays that's called and executing like we do it in practice. So where is that balance between you calling the play, CJ seeing something different, being able to audible if it doesn't work, it doesn't, come back to him or makes it look like it's his fault?
Yeah, no, I think the reality of it is, we have plays that we have alerts to, that we're looking for specific looks that he has the ability to alert to. There's also plays in circumstances, whether it's situational football, whether it's, run looks where we want to get out of something due to a look where we can check a play, an audible play, signal a different route concept, which you guys saw versus the Tennessee Titans on Higgs' touchdown. So there is a balance, there's tools, but we have a framework for those things. So, and that's what we want to try to adhere to. I think generally speaking, we have to execute just our core fundamentals a hell of a lot better across the board. I got to do a better job, being disciplined to the run game, and I think I let that get away from me a little bit there with some of the tempo, obviously, in the first half, and I take accountability for that as well. So it's shared throughout all of us. It's not one person. It never is, and it's we all got to do a better job across the board, and it's fundamentally it's MEs that are disappointing that you don't see. We had a really good week of practice last week. That's the disappointing part. Would have never anticipated that. seeing that and disappointed in that for sure. And we got to hit reset. We got to communicate better. We got to just continue to refine those things so we can move forward and clean things up, because you can't go out there and do that. I mean, that's not the right way to play the game.
And can you, following up on what, I'm not going to Landry or Cody, about the left guard, is so you have some history of seeing that alternating thing work as opposed to just having a guy get there and get comfortable in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, each year is a little bit different. I mean, there have been years, where we've alternated people before. Again, there's been good moments with both of those guys in there, and they, and we've got faith in both those guys. Again, Lakin's played a lot of football. Juice obviously hasn't played quite as much, but he has shown improvement. And I think one of the ways that you get an opportunity to improve is by playing and having an opportunity. And they both, again, at times shown us good moments in there, and we'll assess that day by day and see at each game how it goes and the flow of the game.
It seems like clearly Nico is, he's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. We all know what he's capable of. It feels like at times his route tree gets kind of stagnant, but the way you guys use him can kind of feel kind of stagnant, kind of easier for teams to kind of key in on. Right now, this year, he's only been motioned into a play about 8 times, 8 for 8 routes the entire season. What's just kind of going into how you guys are kind of decoying Nico, who's a clear, proven top-tier receiver, and kind of using him as a weapon to kind of feed off of that.
Yeah, I mean, we move Nico around. I mean, he doesn't sit there and play primarily X. I mean, I think if you watch the formation, we do not, he moves around. And I think each week is different based on what we're trying to get from a coverage structure standpoint, what we can do from a pass concept standpoint. So to put it in one box is probably not fair. But no, we try. Nico's a big part of what we do, and we try to get him involved every single game. There's not a week that we ever don't try to do that. We have a lot of respect for him. He's a great player.
Obviously, you all had some troubles protecting CJ, but how do you balance, either max protecting or putting somebody who could run a route to protect versus having more receivers out there? What is that balance?
Yeah, well, I think it just depends. I mean, situationally, again, if it's third down, what we're looking at, what teams show, what we're trying to do, we always want to vary up our protection systems when we can. We mix protections when we get an opportunity to do that. So there's times you want to get into 6-man protections. There's times you want to free release and go into empty protections. And then there's times where you want to get into 8-man protections. So, I think the healthy balance is to be able to mix through those so you're not sitting there in one protection system indefinitely.
Would you be comfortable saying that the positives of rotating those guys at left guard outweigh the potential negatives of not creating cohesion? And
I think there is a balance, but these guys have, and if you look just back to training camp, right, these guys have played, like even Tay, look at left tackle, he's playing on the right side, he comes over to the left. These guys have played around, and part of that process in training camp is getting guys some position flexibility to be able to move around. So it's not like it's completely foreign. These guys have played a lot of football together. They do in practice too, and you got to have the flexibility to do that as well. And so far, that's what we felt has been what's best for us, and that's why we've continued to do that.
One of the things that y'all have done pretty well, QB sneaks. I think y'all are damn near perfect running QB sneaks, but twice Monday night, 1 yard to get, you've kind of just abandoned it. I don't know, is it a personnel thing? Why does it feel like there's, I don't know, I don't want to use the word fear, but the QB sneak works these games, but these games it's not even an option.
Yeah, there's no fear when it comes to sneaking a ball. We had a plan, a short yardage plan, and we ran the plays that we felt would give us an opportunity based on the structure of the defense, et cetera. We did not do a very good job across the board for multiple reasons from play to play. So, will we have an opportunity to sneak it? We've shown that we'll do that, But there's also other personnel groupings. There's also run types that we can attack based on front structures and teams week by week, however you see them. Not everybody's going to sit there in the same front structures from week to week to week.
Go ahead, Sam.
You mentioned needing to be a little bit more committed to the run.
Yeah.
Just kind of what are the things that need to happen to get this run attack?
I just think in general terms, positive plays, and then in the course of the last game, as we ended that first half, ended up mixing a little bit of tempo there to jump the ball, gave us a little bit of rhythm, tried to get back to that a little bit in the second half. In hindsight, wish probably should have stuck more runs in there, honestly, to balance it out a little bit, and got to be more disciplined in doing that. No excuse, and that's my assessment looking back at it. And wish I would have done that a little more.
Last year, one of the weekly questions I felt like I was asking Bobby was about being able to stop the delayed stunts and blitzes and six games in now, going into the seventh game for you all. It seems like we're still talking about the exact same thing. So when you're looking at that, how can that be fixed?
Yeah, practice, clarity, communication, talking about it in the meeting room, going out and getting extra work at it, putting those guys in different situations, challenging our protection looks. Made some progress. Again, that's the most disappointing part. I thought that, that was one part of it. Heading into that game that I thought over the last couple of weeks we really showed some substantial progress in, and that was just one of, like I said, it was run game, it was some of the stunts, et cetera, that were not good enough on Monday night. So we got to keep working at it. We got to be honest with ourselves about those things, and we got to go to work, and that's what we're going to do, and we've already started to do that.
It seemed like Jalen Noel, when he got more opportunity, showed up his explosion.
Yeah.
If Nico can't go, do you have faith in Jalen and Jaden that they could step up?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've talked about it. Those guys have done a really good job. We got a lot of faith. The guys that we put out there, we have faith in. They go out and work. They compete. They rotate. And again, that's no different than when we talk about the offensive line. Those guys have position flex from outside to inside, inside to outside, Z to X, X to F. And we move those guys around a decent amount, which has helped us. And, we have a lot of faith in whoever's out there. And those two that you mentioned, absolutely, yes.
Two-part question. With the offensive line, in particular, young players like Ariat Terasuri, what do you see from him in terms of being able to execute what you guys are coaching him to do? And just in general, D'Amico's brought up the execution thing, saying the last few days, the players are coached to do it, but they've got to do it when they're out there on the field.
Sure.
What is the teaching element there?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's fundamentally technique-wise. When you're talking about pass sets, if that's what you're referring to, I don't know. I'm assuming so. Just being able to play more within yourself and with the technique. And he's a very conscientious guy. I got a lot of respect and love for him. He cares an awful lot, and it's like anything else. Unfortunately, you go through this, and we got to learn from it. That's what you have to do. You have to learn, and you have to apply, and you have to move forward. And is it frustrating? Yeah, it's disappointing, but we got to move on. Like, no one's sitting there waiting and feeling sorry for anybody. We got to move on, and we got to get better. And that's at all positions, and that's coaches and players, So.
What's kind of like the balance between just, calling things and expecting your players to execute versus scheming things up to kind of break their rules of their coverages? Like, you guys have done it before, like I guess the Ravens, the pass, the curve, things of that nature, but there's also times where sometimes things can kind of feel stagnant, where on the other side against Seattle, their OC, Clint Kubiak, he's running things to kind of get Cooper Kupp open down the sidelines in a very creative way. Same with JSN to kind of break, D'Amico's coverages, rules, and things of that nature. What's just kind of that balance to executing versus running things that are going to break their coverage more consistently?
Well, I think first and foremost, every opponent, it's not like we go out there and run blanket concepts to every cover. We're trying to hunt things up and put ourselves in position to play the coverage structures that we're going to see from week to week, and that varies obviously from team to team. And then when it comes to execution, there's core fundamentals. There's in the pass game, there's some pure progressions that give you options versus a multitude of coverage. You look at the landscape of the league. A lot of teams are putting a dome on coverages. It's not like it was 5 years ago where you sit there and say it's 85% post safety zone, and when it's split safety, it's Tampa 2. Like, that doesn't exist anymore in the National Football League. So you have to have the other ways to be able to hunt things up. Every week that we go into it, we're trying to find out exactly what they're doing, what their structures are, and being able to go attack it. And when you talk about schemes and you talk about the Ravens game, for example, and play actions, like, I'd love to run a lot of play action. Again, we have to stay on schedule. We have to do a good job on early downs. That's not just the passing game. That's the run game. That's the passing game. And it also affects the play action game too. And, in your 7-step jam protections and stuff like that, where you can push the ball further down the field. So that's, obviously we want to execute. We didn't execute at a high enough level, again, across the board in general, and we got to get better at that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.